run, gonna go!
Coming up, we'll recap the last Padres game, preview today's starting pitching matchup, give you our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Craig Stammen. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network, as today the Padres take on the New York Mets in the first game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Mets, right-hander Nolan McLean, and for the Padres, right-hander Walker Buehler. Hi, good everybody. Sam Levitt with you from inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 4:10 p.m. here on the West Coast as the Padres continue this 6-game road trip to Cleveland and New York City. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. You'll hear from Padre manager Craig Stammen. I go one-on-one with young Mets outfielder AJ Ewing. We hear from Tony Gwynn Jr. inside the Padres radio booth in just a few minutes, our keys to today's game, and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Well, a matchup in New York between two of the hottest teams in baseball. Padres have won 17 of their last 22 games. They just took 2 of 3 from the Guardians over the weekend. Mets have won 9 of their last 12 games. They swept the Nationals this past weekend. Padres entering today, sitting in the NL's 3rd and final wild card spot, the same record as the Phillies, who hold the 2nd spot. Padres a game up on the Arizona Diamondbacks. They are 11 games up on the Mets. And for the first time in a while, I'll mention the National League West standings. The Padres are 7 games back of the Dodgers for first place in the National League West. Well, the Padres playing the rubber game of a 3-game series in Cleveland yesterday. Let's quickly rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, after a 3-hour and 11-minute rain delay, we finally got underway in Cleveland. Our pitching matchup, Casey Mize against Tanner Bybee. In the 2nd inning, it was Luis Rengifo.
And Rengifo swings, hits it in the air towards the right center field gap. Nobody going to catch this one, and it's going to go. Home run, Luis Rengifo. Snuck it over the line in right center field. His 4th of the year, and a 2-out solo shot in the 2nd inning will bring home the first run of the day.
Moments later, it was Gavin Sheets.
And Sheets swings. He launches one in the air deep to right field. DeLauder is back at the wall. This one gonna go. Back-to-back for Rengifo and Sheets. And the Padres take a 2-0 lead here in the 2nd inning.
Mize started his day with 3 scoreless innings. In the 4th inning, the Padres tacked on. Jackson Merrill was in scoring position for Xander Bogaerts.
And Bogaerts lines it up the middle into center and a base hit. Merrill home from 3rd base, and Xander comes through with 2 outs, an RBI single to make it 3-0.
Mize was really, really good. 6 scoreless innings, just 3 hits allowed. Padres still led 3-0 in the 8th inning. In the top of the 8th, the Ohio kid, Jace Bowen, dug in.
Pitch on the way, and Bowen hits it in the air up the right field line. Odell's going back. He's at the wall, looking up. Gonna go! Welcome home, Jace Bowen. Oh, what a moment. Opposite field shot. And Bowen with his 2nd major league home run to extend the Padre lead here in the 8th.
Padres weren't done. In the 9th inning, Jake Cronenworth added on.
Cronenworth in the air, deep to right field. Adele's going back at the wall, looking up. This one gonna go. Jake Cronenworth. It's the Padres' 4th home run of the day. A solo shot with 1 out in the 9th, and it's 5-0.
Padres would go on to win by that final score of 5-0, taking the rubber game of this 3-game series in Cleveland. The Padres winning on Friday, losing on Saturday, taking the rubber game after a lengthy rain delay. And now it's on to New York as the Padres play the 2nd half of this 6-game road trip. Day off Thursday, Padres come back home on Friday to Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 4:10. Let's go out to the Big Apple.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Tony Gwynn Jr. in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Tony, before we get into some of the particulars of today's game, let's get a little feel here of the New York Mets. It's not been a great year for the Mets. The record is not where they want it to be. However, they are playing some of their best baseball of the season right now. They've won 9 out of 12. What can you tell us about what's been going on with the Mets as they enter this series against the Pods?
Well, they made some trades at the deadline, and all of a sudden they started playing some better baseball. And they were moves to maybe kind of add to their system a little bit. They weren't necessarily moves to, try to get better right now. And they started playing better. I think the young guys have kind of had the training wheels taken off. Binge and Ewing both playing, extremely well. Bo Bichette has been so much better the last, 3 months. Lindor, after really having the worst start of his career, getting hurt, coming back, playing poorly, he's now started to look like Francisco Lindor. And they just got some guys who are playing some good baseball right now. And most importantly, their starting pitching is throwing the ball well.
And speaking of their young players and their starting pitching, right-hander Nolan McLean on the mound for the Mets here tonight. Padres saw him a little bit earlier this season in San Diego. He's a guy who can really spin it, Tony. And the reason I bring that up is you and Jesse talked about it a lot over the weekend in Cleveland. The way the Guardians starters went after the Padres, a lot of off-speed stuff, whether you're talking about Williams or Cantillo on Friday and Saturday in particular. It would seem like McLean, if he wants to, he can focus on spinning it and avoiding the fastball against the Padres because he does that really well. What do you think?
It's kind of a catch-22 for Nolan McLean, and here's why. Last time he faced the Padres, he did pretty good. He gave up the 1 run, 6 innings. So you're kind of debating with yourself, do I want to go away from that? It was so successful the first time versus what we've seen the Guardians do. Now, I would contest that it worked once and then it didn't work the second time, right? I'm sure it worked the first time for the Padres, but the breaking ball the second time with Cantillo, the Padres never figured that one out. And then I think Bybee didn't quite have the repertoire to really attack it the same way those two guys did. So it's going to be interesting. I think we'll both be watching to see how McLean goes after the Padres, if he's going to use more spin than normal, considering his repertoire kind of fits what it would take in order to do it.
Yeah, let's talk about Walker Buehler on the mound for the Padres here tonight. We had that rough stretch leading up to the All-Star break. He's been much, much better since the break. Really good outing against a good Brewer lineup last time out. 6 strong innings. What will you be looking for from Walker Buehler in New York tonight?
Just the command, and more specifically, avoiding that 1 inning. That has been his bugaboo when he hasn't been able to get deeper into games. It's been 1 inning that typically has taken him off track and forced him to throw more pitches than he should. I just think he needs to avoid that inning. I think Walker's stuff when he's in the zone or throwing strikes, he's very tough to deal with. He still has, elite stuff in terms of the spin and the different pitches he has. He may not have the velocity anymore, but in terms of stuff, he still has good stuff. So just try to avoid that one wonky inning and see where it takes him.
Tony, obviously the Padres turn around offensively. It's been the story of the last month and a half or so. Luis Rengifo, certainly a part of it. You look at what he did with the Brewers earlier in the year. I mean, he wasn't playing well. It was no mystery as to why he got DFA'd. I mean, quite frankly, he wasn't playing very well. Then he shows up in San Diego, and he has been a totally different hitter. Hit the home run yesterday to get the scoring started. What have you seen from Luis Rengifo since he showed up to San Diego?
It's just a very simple approach for Luis. I think when he gets ahead and counts like he did yesterday, he's got enough juice to put a good swing on it and crack it over the fence. But other than that, you just see him working at bats. Yeah. If he has to take his single the other way, he'll take it. If he has to walk, he'll take it. He is just kind of doing what the scoreboard says. I would contest he came to San Diego right at the time this offense started to turn it around as a whole. And I think, simplifying things in terms of their game planning seems to have loosened up this team. You couldn't find very many, you couldn't find any actually series before that last one against the Guardians where teams weren't attacking the Padres with
Yeah.
fastballs. Now all of a sudden we get to that Guardian series and they're having second thoughts. That tells you this Padre offense is in a completely different place than it was earlier in the season.
Yeah, the turnaround has been remarkable, and specifically against the fastball. It's been remarkable what they've done to turn this offensive season around. We'll see if they can continue that in New York during the course of this week. Tony, as always, appreciate the time. We will talk to you and Jesse coming up at the very top of the hour. Thanks so much.
Sounds good, Sammy.
That is Tony Gwynn Jr. joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for this series opener in Queens. The Padres taking on the Mets. Padres trying to keep it rolling. They have won 17 of their last 22 games. When we return, we'll hear from Padre manager Craig Stammen. We'll take our first look at the Padres lineup here today. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up a little bit later as well. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can do that in a variety of ways. You can find us on X, or find me on X at Sammy Lev, SammyLev. Instagram DMs open as well. Sammy Lev there too. You can also chime in on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube stream. Let me know who you are, where you're tuned in from, and if you have a key to today's game, let me know what it is, and I may just read it live here on the air. First pitch coming up at 4:10 here in San Diego. The Padres and the Mets in New York City. Our pregame coverage continues after this. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming your way at 4:10 p.m. from New York as the Padres begin this 3-game series against the New York Mets. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. That's 760-350-3338. We'll hear from Padre manager Craig Stammen coming up in just a little bit. Give you a look at the Padre lineup here in a moment as well. There was some very, very, very significant news earlier today. In case you missed it, Major League Baseball owners unanimously approving Kwanza Jones and Jose E. Feliciano as new owners of the San Diego Padres. Obviously, they're reporting over the course of months now that they would eventually get approved by Major League Baseball, and the sale completed from the Seidler family. And again, MLB owners unanimously approving the transfer of control of the franchise to the new ownership group led by Kwanza Jones and Jose E. Feliciano. Did want to read a quote here from the Padres. This is from Jones and Feliciano. Quote, "We are a family first, and becoming owners of the San Diego Padres means joining an even larger one. We are grateful to the Seidler family and especially to Peter for raising the expectations of what this franchise can achieve. We have built our life and our work together, and we will bring that same shared purpose, commitment, and determination to our stewardship of the Padres. It is a source of immense pride, an extraordinary opportunity to become part of a team, a tradition, and the San Diego community that has supported it so faithfully. Our ambition is clear: to bring a World Series championship to San Diego and build an enduring organization capable of competing for championships year after year. We intend to be engaged owners, bringing our energy, experience, and perspective while working alongside the talented team already in place and investing ambitiously and thoughtfully in the Padres' future. That means pursuing excellence and innovation throughout the organization, delivering a first-class experience at Petco Park, deepening the bond with the faithful fans, and making a positive impact across the San Diego community. We are all in and committed to winning," end quote. A really, really nice quote there from Kwanza Jones and Jose E. Feliciano. There will be an introductory press conference on Monday afternoon, a week from today, at Petco Park. So that'll be very exciting. We'll have live coverage for you of that press conference right here on 97.3 The Fan. So very, very good news there. An exciting new chapter of Padres baseball beginning under the leadership of Kwanza Jones and Jose E. Feliciano. Obviously, very, very big news in the big picture for the Padres moving forward. All right, back to today's game. Take a look at the Padres lineup here today. Looks like this: Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off, Jake Cronenworth at second base batting second, Manny Machado at third base batting third, Ty France at first base batting cleanup, Jackson Merrill in center batting fifth, Luis Campusano doing the catching and batting sixth, Gavin Sheets, the DH, batting seventh, Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting eighth, and Luis Rengifo in left field batting ninth, with right-hander Walker Buehler on the hill for the Padres in this series opener in New York. With all that in mind, let's go to Citi Field in Queens and hear from Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in a manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Craig, can you talk about the stability that Robbie Ray and Casey Mize have been able to provide to the starting rotation? And I mean, all of a sudden you've got 5 quality starts out of the last 8 games. Those have been tough to come by previously. What does that do not only for the rotation, but for your bullpen guys?
Yeah, it definitely sets everybody up in the right roles and makes them feel comfortable when we start the game. It's always nice when who's starting first tomorrow, and you can say Robbie Ray or Casey Mize or Walker Buehler or Michael King or Randy Vasquez, and the way they've all been pitching. So I think that eases the bullpen's anxiety on a daily basis, and know that they're pitching in their right roles and not in crazy type roles all the time. Every once in a while we'll probably still do it, but it just gives us a little bit of peace of mind.
I would imagine a little bit of pressure off of Michael and Walker and Randy as well, feeling like it's not all on their shoulders.
Maybe a little bit of less pressure, but also, those guys are competing. The starting rotation is always competing for who's going to have the best start, through that time, through the rotation. And I think that little inner competition is good for everybody.
Miguel and Mark doing like dry swings, right? Is that what's the best case scenario for Miguel?
Best case scenario is he comes back and he's completely healthy and he's hitting for the Padres. No timetable on that. He's kind of in the very beginning stages of even touching a bat. So he's just here in New York rehabbing. He's got family in town, so I think he gets to see his daughter this weekend.
Jason had to play some catch today. For all the wrong reasons, it could be really exciting to have him join the team late, be available for the postseason, and be maybe one of the freshest bullpen arms in postseason baseball.
Yeah, it'll be great. You know, he just means a lot to our team, who he is as a person and what he does out on the field. So you get somebody like that back sometime in September, that's a big shot in the arm for everybody.
Yuki has been pitching very well, especially after the All-Star. How do you see his pitch mix change and also like the pitching itself?
Yeah, Yuki's been great this entire season. He put in so much work in the offseason, and that hard work has paid off, you know, throughout the year. He's been very durable, and I think what he's done really well this year is he's thrown the fastball down in the zone and up in the zone. So he's been able to, you know, I think in years past he's only kind of doing that fastball up in the zone, and now he's used kind of up and down to his advantage to be able to play off his split and his slider.
And also I think he's using more slider this year than the last year. Is that based on the matchup or like it's something from the data?
Yeah, I think more so on matchup. You know, he's facing a lot of lefties. He's been very good against left-handed hitters. And typically a breaking ball moving away from them is a little bit better than the split, you know, coming down and in. But he's got two really good off-speed weapons that he can go to.
Generally, it's easier for guys to adjust from being a down pitcher to throwing up in the zone. Was it a challenge for him, do you know, at all, to go the opposite direction?
Yeah, I think it took a lot of practice. I mean, it's, you know, we all throw fastballs and you're throwing them to locations that you're comfortable with. But in the end, it's just target practice. So he's used to throwing the ball up in the zone, and he just worked a little bit more on throwing it down the zone. He's gotten really good at it, and it's definitely helped him this season.
What's it mean to go against your former managers?
Yeah, it'll be different. You know, I respect Andy so much and consider him a really good friend of mine. Probably never expected to be doing this across the field from each other, but it'll be a pretty neat series for me, hopefully for Andy also. And I know he's a lot smarter than me, so I'll have to rely on the talent we got on the team.
If you could narrow it down, like what are some things that you maybe learned from 4 years you played?
Yeah, I just liked his demeanor. We, you know, shared a lot of similarities in personality, and his communication with me as a reliever was really good, I thought. And the way he used our bullpen, I thought he did a very good job of using the pen and always had a reason of why he was doing different things, and he was able to articulate that to the people that asked questions. Me specifically, and you know, I thought he cared about me as a person and he cared about me as a player. He's really good at that.
Did you feel more comfortable asking him those types of questions maybe than other managers that you had, and you're probably more of an inquisitive reliever in the first place?
Yeah, I think I was a little older in my career and had that, you know, was able to ask better questions, you know, and also just talking through the game, and him, without even asking, he would be able to say, hey, this is what I was thinking in that situation. And that helped me understand when he was going to use me in games and what his mind is thinking in the dugout. Just that makes those guys' jobs easier. When they know when the phone rings, and whenever that phone rings, they know exactly who's going in the game. You know, that's when you got it dialed in. So hopefully those guys are starting to get my feel a little bit. The conversations are, you know, what they understand, you know, where they're going to be used and how I'm going to use them.
It sounds like that was really helpful for you in terms of understanding those sort of decisions later in your career. And is that something that maybe is helping you now in terms of managing your own bullpen?
Yeah, I hope so. I think you spend enough time down there, you kind of get the lay of the land, and try to do it the best, try to take care of those guys as much as you can, and try to win games.
But it's different knowing it from your own personal perspective of what you needed as a reliever versus what a manager's looking at in terms of looking at an entire staff.
Yeah, I mean, I got lucky that I pitched in all aspects of the game in a lot of different roles. And I think that has helped me, you know, be able to talk to all the guys in the bullpen. Probably the only guys I can't relate to is the closer, you know, and that's kind of a simple way of everybody kind of uses the closer in a very similar manner. And we got one of the best in the game. It's pretty easy to kind of just toss him in the game.
Craig, I know in the middle of the season down on the field, you guys aren't all that affected by this, but the announcement today that the ownership change was approved by MLB, just its reaction, you know, in the clubhouse or in the manager's seat or whatever. I assume, you know, stability is always a good thing, and know what you got, you know, moving forward at the top of the free.
Yeah, as far as the day-to-day, you know, operations, nothing changes for us. You know, we got to go out here and play the games just like we have all season long. The ownership sale has kind of been something that's been going on throughout the entire year. And, you know, it doesn't really affect the play on the field, but we're excited to have Jose and Kwanzaa a part of the Padres, and we can't wait to welcome them.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Craig in our post-game coverage coming up later on this evening. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studio. Series opener in New York. Padres and the Mets getting underway at 4:10 here on the West Coast. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
We put 3 guys in the hot category today. Let's begin with Jackson Merrill, who's hitting .353 with 9 home runs, 25 RBIs in his last 27 games. Luis Rengifo, he's batting .320 with a .393 on-base percentage during a 7-game on-base streak. And Luis Campusano took an over as a DH on Saturday. Before that, he had been 6 for 11 in his last 3 games with a home run and 7 RBIs. One guy in the not category, it's Manny Machado. He's hitting just 192 in August with 1 extra base hit. Manny's not hit a home run in 19 games. We'll see if he can change that, hit one out in New York during this series. And that's a quick look at who's hot, who's not as we get ready for this series opener in New York. Let's take a look at some Major League headlines as we go around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Let's begin with a couple of significant injury notes. Yankees starting pitcher, left-hander Carlos Rodon will come off the IL tomorrow and start in Baltimore. He's been out since early July. The Cubs shortstop Dansby Swanson has a grade 2 oblique strain. He suffered that yesterday at Wrigley Field. He's expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Could mean he misses the rest of the regular season. Hurt himself on a swing yesterday. Did not look good, and he's going to miss, sounds like, at least a month and a half with that oblique strain. The Dodgers also putting left-hander Justin Robleski on the IL with forearm inflammation. The 26-year-old left-hander had a great first half, 2.69 ERA in 100 plus innings, but has not been nearly as good since the All-Star break. You know, we didn't mention this yesterday. It was yesterday morning. The news was still, first coming out yesterday morning. But some sad news. Former Major League pitcher Tommy John, a 4-time All-Star, who won 288 career games, and of course is the namesake behind the pioneering elbow surgery that not only prolonged his career, but has become, one of the most important surgeries in sports, Tommy John surgery, which so many guys get nowadays, and is such a successful surgery. He passed away at the age of 83, passed away on Saturday. So some sad news there. Tommy John's legacy will certainly live on for a long time. And that is a look at some of our headlines from around the major leagues. When we come back, we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, our keys to today's game. Plus, I go one-on-one with young Mets outfielder AJ Ewing. Much more to do on our pregame coverage. We're back in a moment on the Padres Radio Network.
Hey, friends, it's Woodsy.
Baseball coming up on this Monday series opener between the Padres and the Mets in New York. We send things out to Jesse and Tony in under 20 minutes. First pitch coming your way at 4:10 here on the West Coast. We heard from Craig Stammen a little bit earlier, the latest on Miguel and Duhar, but let's also give you a couple of other Padre injury updates.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, first, let's read this post here on X from Padres beat reporter AJ Cassavell. AJ, writing here, Jason Adam, Padres reliever, just got done playing catch up to around 90 feet today at relatively low intensity, an important step, even if he's still a few weeks away. Quote from Adam, felt clean, felt no pain, so really good. All right, that is good news from Jason Adam. First time he's played catch since going on the IL with a shoulder strain. As far as some other injury notes, Samad Taylor reportedly, I should say, will begin a rehab assignment with AAA El Paso today. Jeff Sanders of the San Diego Union Tribune reporting that. As we know, Joe Musgrove last pitched on Friday for AAA El Paso. Still waiting for word on what the next step will be for Joe. Will it be another rehab outing? Could it even be a return to the major leagues? We'll find out as we get news on Joe. We'll continue to pass it along, and that's a quick look at today's injury report. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
Well, we have a number of games going on. Well, I should say one game that is going on right now. One final. Everything else is coming up here shortly or later on. Orioles leading the Rays 1-0 in the third inning in Tampa Bay. Everything else, aside from one game coming up a little bit later. Cardinals and the Reds in Cincinnati. Marlins and the Phillies in Philadelphia. Tigers and the Pirates in Pittsburgh. D-backs playing the Red Sox at Fenway Park at 4:10. A's and the Royals at Kansas City. Braves and the Twins in Minnesota. White Sox and the Cubs in Chicago tonight. Dodgers and the Rockies in Colorado. The one final already today, Cardinals and the Reds playing earlier. Cardinals beat the Reds 2-1 in, I should say, game one of a doubleheader, because we told you about that other game coming up. So game one of the doubleheader in Cincinnati, Cardinals beating the Reds 2-1. So Cardinals continue to play well, and that's a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll have more on those games coming up later during our post-game coverage. Well, the Mets are playing well, like we've talked about throughout this pregame. They've won 9 of their last 12. Their offense has actually been really good lately. We'll talk about it during our keys to the game a little bit later. AJ Ewing, one of their promising young players, an outfielder, just 22 years old, part of the 2023 draft, drafted out of high school in Ohio. On the year so far, Ewing, 249 hitter. He has 7 home runs, 28 RBIs, 16 doubles, really, really fast, playing a good outfield for the Mets. I caught up with AJ Ewing to talk about this Mets ball club. Sam Levitt here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game against the New York Mets. And right now I'm joined by Mets outfielder AJ Ewing. AJ, very much appreciate the time, the very early part of your major league career. How would you describe the experience so far?
It's been awesome. It's hard to put into words, and it's beat every expectation that I've had.
What's been the biggest adjustment getting used to playing in the major leagues every day, and more specifically hitting major league pitching?
Yeah, I would say that this is the same game I've been playing since I was 3 years old. I had fun then. I'm going to have fun now, but the environment's definitely different, and that was something to get used to. But after you get used to that, it's the same game, and it's a lot of fun to be in this environment.
When you talk about this environment, obviously a lot of veteran players on this team. When you talk about Bo Bichette, Marcus Semien, a lot of other names as well. Have those guys been sort of instrumental to you in getting comfortable?
Yeah, 100%. All those guys that you mentioned, they have been super, inviting in this clubhouse, and they've shown me a lot of love, and they've made me feel extremely comfortable here.
When we throw it back to when you got drafted, you were drafted at a high school in Ohio, 4th round pick. I mean, you're coming up, at that time, 17, 18-year-old kid into professional baseball. What do you feel like the biggest adjustment back then was you had to make going from high school to being a pro ball player so quickly?
Yeah, I would say that you have to figure out who you are as a professional hitter.
Yeah.
And I think that can come at different times for everybody. It happened to me at the end of my first season. And once you figure out who you are as a hitter, you just try to refine those skills that make you good.
At this part of your career, how do you define yourself as a hitter at this point?
What makes me a hitter is I put the ball in play and I slap to all fields, and I don't try to do too much, and I like to let my legs do the work.
When you look around this clubhouse, we mentioned the veterans, but this is also a Mets team that has a lot of new faces coming up, whether it be you, whether it be Carson Bench. You've got Nolan McLean, who obviously pitched a little bit last year, but is one of the bright young pitchers in the game. Has that been kind of cool coming up with some other young prospect type players, and you guys are trying to make it now together?
Yeah, it's cool. Obviously playing the minor leagues with those guys, more so Carson than Nolan. He was a little farther along, but it's cool to share the locker room with them just like we have been in the past.
What about playing in New York in particular and living in New York? Again, you're from Ohio, a long way from New York City. Has that been kind of eye-opening, living in New York City and working in New York City?
So our high A affiliate is called the Brooklyn Cyclones. Right. So I got a little bit of taste of it there, and that helped me out a lot. But I love New York. I love playing there.
I'm happy you mentioned the Brooklyn Cyclones because that's a really unique minor league team. You're in the heart of New York City. You're on Coney Island there. What was it like being a minor leaguer playing in Brooklyn and in such a big metropolis, if you will? Because typically minor league teams are in smaller towns and cities.
For me, it was a lot of fun. The atmosphere that we had there for being a high affiliate was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fans there. We had a lot of fans show up, and that was a great team to play on.
We're joined by the Mets' AJ Ewing here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game. To ask you about another one of your teammates, Juan Soto. I mean, you're looking at one of the great hitters in the game. Padres fans know him well from his time in San Diego. What's been your perspective on watching Juan Soto, the teammate and the hitter?
Yeah, Juan Soto, he's a generational hitter. Watching him work in the cage and even hitting the game, it's unbelievable to watch. And he feels like a friend to me. He's been super great to me.
Watching you against the Padres and throughout the early portion of your career, it's very evident your speed is a real tool. How do you try to use that speed generally game by game?
Yeah, I always think about taking the next base, and I think that's going to be my identity for a long time.
AJ, really appreciate the time. Good talking to you, and we'll talk to you again down the road.
Awesome. Thank you.
That was Mets outfielder AJ Ewing inside the Mets clubhouse. Earlier, Ewing is leading off playing left field for the Mets in this series opener against the Padres here today. You heard my question to AJ Ewing about Juan Soto. Just so you know, Juan Soto on the IL with a calf injury. He will miss this series against his former team in the Padres. First pitch coming up at 4:10 in New York. Let's give you a look at our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Rock and Block Turf and Hardscapes. Beautiful artificial turf that stays green all year long. Trust and experience. The job isn't done until it's done right. See them at rockandblocklandscape.com.
Key number one, slow down the Mets offense. This offense in New York has really come alive recently. They're averaging 5.5 runs per game in their last 12 games. They've hit 21 home runs in that span. Let's go through a few of these really hot Met hitters. Francisco Lindor has a hit in 9 of his last 10 games. He's batting .351 with 10 runs scored in that span. Bo Bichette was on 4 times yesterday. He's batting .329 with 7 extra base hits and 11 RBIs in his last 21 games. Jared Young is hitting .333 with 12 extra base hits, 15 RBIs in his last 32 games. So, despite the Mets' record at 56-69, their offense, they're playing well right now. You got to be careful if you're Walker Buehler and the Padre pitching staff here tonight and in this series. Key number 2, hit the homer against McLean. Mets starting pitcher Nolan McLean has allowed 5 home runs in his last 4 starts after giving up just 2 home runs in his previous 9 outings. McLean faced the Padres back in June. He was good that day, 1 run in 6 innings at Petco Park. Here's the reason to be pretty hopeful that even though McLean's a good young pitcher, even though McLean can really, really spin it, there's reason to believe the Padres offense will have success today, and here's why. It's a very general reason. Think about what the Padres offense has done as of late. Their last 27 games. I mean, this is remarkable. Last 27 games going back to July 19th. The Padres are hitting .280 as a team, a .356 on-base percentage, .454 slug, .810 OPS. Do you know every one of those numbers ranks first in the majors in that span since July 19th? Let me give you their rankings in average on-base percentage, slug, and OPS through their first 98 games before July 19th. 30th, tied for 29th, 29th, and 30th. They have quite literally gone from those metrics being one of, if not the worst offense in baseball, to the best. Like that. Hopefully they can get to Nolan McLean today. That's got to keep it rolling in New York, and that's a look at our keys to today's game. When we come back, we take a closer look at today's starting pitcher for the Padres, right-hander Walker Buehler. First pitch coming up at 4:10 here on the West Coast on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We send things out to the Big Apple, to Citi Field in Queens. Game one of this three-game series between the Padres and Mets coming your way at 4:10. We send things out to Jesse and Tony in under 5 minutes. Let's tell you what to watch for in this series opener.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For, presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
What to watch for in today's game? Can Walker Buehler keep his current role going in New York? We've talked about it a lot. Walker Buehler had that really difficult run-up to the All-Star break, but since the break, he's been much, much better. A 3.20 ERA in 5 starts since the break. That includes 6 strong innings, 1 run given up, just 3 hits allowed, 5 strikeouts. He walked 2 against the Brewers last week. So what to watch for in today's game? Quite simply, can Walker Buehler put together another really nice outing against what has been, as we've said, a pretty hot Met offense as of late? This will be Buehler's first start at Citi Field since the 2024 NLCS when he was still a member of the LA Dodgers. And that is what to watch for in today's game. Padres come into today's game, this series opener in New York, playing some good baseball, as we know. 67-58 on the season, currently sitting in the final wild card spot in the National League. Padres have won 17 of their last 22 games. As always, we appreciate you tuning in to our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. When we come back, we send it out to Jesse and Tony. They have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.